Here's what I'm eating as a D1 athlete on a high poison diet. First off, we got poison.
Today we're going to be answering the major question ever: is Logan Paul's prime hydration slowly poisoning everybody? Now I'm going to start this off by saying that I'm going to try to make this as unbiased as possible, which actually really shouldn't even be that hard because I don't really like either of the parties involved in this. This whole situation is basically a TikTok lawyer versus Logan Paul, and that's already just a red flag immediately. TikTok and lawyer are probably two of the worst words to be in the same sentence. If I had to defend myself in court for literally any reason ever, and my lawyer was a TikTok lawyer, I'd just immediately take the plea deal and completely give up. They'd managed to turn a 2-month sentence into a 2-century imprisonment with the addition of 200,000 hours of community service. But TikTok lawyer aside, TikTok itself is only really good for a few things: finding the occasional funny video, pure brain rot, and just straight up misinformation. And don't get me wrong though, I like misinformation just as much as the next guy. It's just that TikTok really be pushing straight up fake news. Like, I'm sure everyone knows the saying, don't believe everything you hear on the internet, but with TikTok, it's a bit different. Don't believe anything you see on TikTok. If you're just scrolling through TikTok like usual and hear some interesting story that you want to believe, the first thing you're going to want to do is look literally anywhere else for that same information to make sure that it's accurate, because 98% of the time, it won't be. But the reasons I dislike TikTok aside, I was also going to get into the reasons I dislike Logan Paul, but I'm sure I don't even need to. We could probably just move on. So getting into it, the best way to give a quick rundown of what this lawsuit is actually all about and what's actually being claimed here is to just show the videos of the TikToker pretty much explaining it himself. So we're just going to go ahead and take a look at those and then break it down.
Never thought that Logan Paul and Forever Chemicals would be in the same sentence, but there's actually a class action lawsuit against Prime Energy and Prime Hydration. One of the allegations is that Prime Hydration has PFAS and PFOs, Forever Chemicals, in them. According to the testing done by one of the lawyers for the plaintiff, guess how much PFOs were in the product, in the drink? 3 times the amount that you should have in your lifetime in PFOs from drinking water. In one Prime Hydration drink, they found 3 times the amount of PFOs.
Now, right quick, before we do talk about what he said in that, I do want to point out that these clips might seem like a bit splotched together, and that's because it's kind of hard to find videos of this guy talking about this now, because he pretty much deleted all of them. So it's honestly a bit of a struggle to even find the videos that I can find to put in here for context, but you can see what he's alleging in his video, and these are some pretty serious claims. I'm sure in that video you could also see that he's talking about like PFOs and Forever Chemicals, and as much as I'd like to sit here and try to explain to you what those are, I'd rather have someone else do it that probably knows what they're talking about a bit more than me and also can probably explain it a bit better as well.
PFAS are known as that toxic forever chemical. They're incredibly bad for you. It's an entire class of chemicals. There's over 14,000 of them. The one that you're the most familiar with is going to be Teflon, but there's lots of them. They will build up in your body and stay there for upwards to 10 years. PFAS are linked to brain cancer, testicular cancer, kidney cancer, as well as a suppressed immune response. Lots of not good things, right?
So like you've seen there, it's basically just chemicals that you don't really want too much of, and if possible, none at all in basically anything that you're consuming. There are also a few more claims as well, and if I can find clips of those, I'll toss them up, but the other things that are being claimed is that Prime Hydration is linked to some cancers, because this same TikTok lawyer made a video saying that a mother contacted him and said that her child has been drinking Prime Hydration, and he recently got leukemia. And the next claim is that specifically Prime Energy has too much caffeine in it. And now these last 2 claims that I just went over, I'm gonna go ahead and knock them out of the way right now because we really don't even need to do too much research into them to basically debunk them. So starting with the leukemia situation, and I'm gonna start off by saying obviously I'm not saying like leukemia isn't a bad thing or that some sort of outside factor didn't contribute to this child getting getting this, but I am saying that correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation. Just because this kid was drinking prime hydration and ended up with leukemia, of course, doesn't necessarily mean that the prime hydration caused that, especially when you've done literally no testing and have really no proof whatsoever that prime had anything to do with the cause of this kid getting this illness. Because by their logic, you could literally say the same thing for anything that this kid consumes. So I really think this story was added in just to add some like extra pop or something to the argument. It's not really fair to say someone's product caused something that happened to them when you have no proof whatsoever. And I also do want to bring up that if something does change in the future and there is proof brought up, I will be making a follow-up video, obviously, and taking back what I said completely, but as of right now, there is no proof. And moving on to the next claim that Prime Energy has too much caffeine in it, I truly don't even understand where this one is coming from. They're saying that it's like mainly marketed towards kids, if anything, and they're claiming that that's way too much caffeine for a child, and it probably is. Prime Energy has 200 milligrams of caffeine per can, which probably is way too much for a kid, especially considering they might drink more than one. But the response for that is that they specifically said that the Prime Energy isn't marketed towards kids. Even though kids do end up with it, they say that it is intended for an audience that's 18 plus. I think the real problem here is parents letting their children get their hands on these energy drinks and actually letting them consume it. Because as messed up as it sounds, it really shouldn't be Logan, Paul, KSI, or whatever the parent company of them's responsibility to make sure that kids don't get their hands on their energy drinks that are put on shelves next to the plethora of other energy drinks. And speaking of other drinks, in the grand scheme of things, Prime Energy really doesn't have that much caffeine in it compared to other energy drinks. They say that it has, like 2 times as much as a can of Red Bull or 6 times as much as a can of Coke, which I really don't think the Coke argument is that fair because Coke isn't even an energy drink. It's just a soda that happens to have caffeine in it as well. But, like I was saying, it's not even an outrageous amount compared to every other energy drink. It's not even the most energy per drink. Energy drinks like Bang Energy and Rain Energy have 300 milligrams per can. That's 100 more than Prime, and I know people that drink multiple of these a day. And really, when it comes down to it, it shouldn't be a problem at all considering it's called Prime Energy. I'd sure hope that my energy drink has a decently high concentration of caffeine in it. And when I say my, it's not like I specifically mean me or anything. I don't even like energy drinks. I've consumed probably like 2 total in my entire lifetime. But now that we got those out of the way, we can get back into the main claim of the PFOs and PFOAs. And with this claim, before I move on too far and somehow forget, I did want to bring up that they're specifically talking about the grape flavor in basically all of these scenarios that they're saying it has like 3 times the amount of PFOs in it. They're specifically talking about the grape flavor. But moving on, like I said before, those are some pretty bold claims, so Logan Paul decided that he'd directly respond to this himself. And before I even toss up his response, I just want to say that it deeply pains me that I'm gonna pretty much be defending Logan in this video. But I'm gonna go ahead and play his response.
Against Logan Paul's company Prime for there being PFOs, which are forever chemicals, in the Prime hydration drink.
All right, let's talk about this. First off, anyone can sue anyone at any time. That does not make the lawsuit true, and in this case, it is not. There's claims that PFOS or forever chemicals come from plastic. So in this case, they're not talking about the actual drink, the liquid Prime. They're talking about the bottle that Prime is manufactured in. This ain't a rinky-dink operation. We use the top bottle manufacturers in the United States. All of your favorite beverage brands, Coke, Pepsi, Tropicana, Dr. Pepper, they use these companies. If the product is served in plastic, they make a bottle for them. Accordingly, we follow Title 21 for the Code of Regulations for PET and all other types of bottles. The products are manufactured by our company in a manner compliant with all pertinent and current good manufacturing practices by the United States Food and Drug Administration. All of our suppliers use GMP facilities.
So Logan basically immediately comes out of the gate hitting this guy with just pure facts, evidence, and everything else he can get his hands on. He's saying that he uses like the best and top bottle manufacturers ever that also manufacture basically all of your other favorite drinks. So he's indirectly saying that if the bottles for Prime contain an unsafe amount of PFOS, then basically all your other favorite drinks do as well. At the beginning, he also said that anyone can have a lawsuit against anyone for really any reason, but that doesn't mean that it's true, and that's 100% right. It really seems like people are forgetting this fact as well. Just because there is is a lawsuit against it, that doesn't mean it's true. They haven't won the lawsuit, nor have they proved anything yet.
But let's say they're talking about the drink itself. Here's where their argument really falls apart. Pay attention.
But according to the testing done by one of the lawyers for the plaintiff,
Whoa! Hold it. You saw Goodman or Walter White, brother, because this little study that was conducted by a lawyer is absolute bull.
I know Logan kind of just pointed it out a bit right there, but that's a crazy statement. A study conducted by a lawyer. Like he said, genuinely, are you Saul Goodman or Walter White? Why is a lawyer conducting studies on food? Shouldn't you have some sort of, I don't know who you'd have, I'm not a fucking scientist, but you'd think that you'd have anyone except a lawyer conducting tests for that.
They're claiming that Prime has 0.06 ppt, parts per trillion. But that's interesting because the EPA says that anything under 1.1 ppt cannot be deemed as reasonably accurate, meaning they don't have the right tools or resources to even prove what they're claiming. Are you following this? It means the detection limit is 66 times more than what they're claiming we have in our drink. And that's just the detection limit. Your own state will not even take action unless it's over 40 parts per trillion. So we don't even think this information is factual, but for the sake of this conversation, let's continue.
He just basically came over here and broke this guy's entire argument down. The amount of PFOs that they're claiming that Prime has is significantly under the detection limit. And like he said in his response, anything under the detection limit isn't even considered reasonably accurate. And that's not even to mention that if this was the amount, that it wouldn't matter anyway. Like he points out, the state wouldn't even be able to take action unless it's over 40 parts per trillion, which it's, of course, not even remotely close to.
For customer safety, we retain samples of every single batch of Prime that has ever come off the production line. So if/when this plaintiff wants to come forward with a production number, we will retain samples from that batch and conduct our own independent study.
Like I said before, as much as it pains me to compliment or defend Logan Paul, he's just handling this so well and so professionally. He's literally telling them to come forward with the production number of the batch that they tested because they keep samples of every single batch that they release in case of a situation like this.
We're putting out better for you products. Meanwhile, our competitors are on the cusp of getting banned in the United States. The #1 sports drink in the world just had SKUs banned in California for using dyes linked to cancer. That is a fact. It already happened. The difference with us is one person conducted a random study and has provided zero evidence to substantiate any of their claims. Do y'all remember a while back when they said that the FDA was investigating Prime? It never happened. They never called us because we follow every single guideline and regulation. So Tommy the TikTok lawyer, 4 videos in, man, farm those views, get those likes, and get a haircut while you're at it. We'll accept an apology within the next 48 hours, otherwise you're going to be representing yourself in a miserable courtroom for lying about our brand.
And that's pretty much his response. He just rolled this guy and smoked him, and then like you seen towards the end, he said, hey, since you're just spewing absolute nonsense and fake news, you're gonna want to take this down within 48 hours or I'll be suing you directly. And like I said earlier, how it's kinda hard to find clips of this guy actually talking about the situation, now you guys know that's because Logan Paul just came out and said, hey, you delete these or I'll be suing you, and he immediately folded. The second he sensed any sort of pressure, he just completely backed down, deleted all of his videos, and basically uploaded an apology.
sometimes it's okay to pause. It's okay to reevaluate things, and it's okay to check your position.
And everyone was also just basically trash talking him after this. They're like, damn, bro folded under no pressure at all. As soon as he came out with a video, bro deleted everything. And it's just completely true. If you were this certain about all of your facts and all of your statistics, you'd think that you wouldn't want to delete the videos because you'd want to fight for what's true. But you can see that that's obviously not what happened in this case. But that pretty much really sums up the situation. If it seemed like I didn't put too much like statistics or comparisons or all this other like super in-depth stuff in this video, it's because I didn't. I intentionally tried to make this video a bit more simpler and easy to digest because a lot of the like super in-depth videos get like really complicated and kind of hard to keep up with. So if you do want a bit more of an in-depth video on this topic, I recommend watching the video from this channel right here. That's where I got most of my information from. I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce the name because I'm gonna fuck it up, but that's pretty much it for this video. The main takeaway here should be believe nothing you see on TikTok, and even though Prime probably isn't poisoning you, you still probably shouldn't drink it because it doesn't even taste good, nor is it even a good hydration drink. But with me hating on Prime aside because it tastes like fucking sugar water with a slight hint of flavoring, that's pretty much it for this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.